And we'll end tonight's show with lessons from a great mind, Mahatma Gandhi. Tomorrow is October the 2nd, Gandhi's 152nd birth anniversary. His words and beliefs are nearly a century old, but they're still relevant because Mahatma Gandhi had a rare gift, the gift of foresight. Indians know Gandhi as a towering freedom fighter. The world knows him as a social reformer and a politician, the man who beat the British Empire. For some, he was a spiritual guide. For others, a political mentor. But tonight, we want to talk about a different part of his life. Mahatma Gandhi, the journalist. That journey, too, began in South Africa. He became the South Africa correspondent of The Voice of India, a newspaper started by Dadabhai Naoroji. During the Second Boer War from 1899 to 1902, Mahatma Gandhi was a war correspondent. He saw racial injustice in South Africa. He saw war and violence. Those experiences shaped his view on journalism, and back then journalism meant newspapers. They did not have TVs or blogs. Let me tell you what Gandhi said on the objective of newspapers, and I'm quoting. One of the objects of a newspaper is to understand the popular feeling and give expression to it. Another, to arouse among the people certain desirable sentiments. And the third is to express fearlessly popular defects. You could put those words in any modern-day editorial. Wouldn't look out of place. In 1903, Mahatma Gandhi started publishing his own newspaper. It was called the Indian Opinion. His mission was quite simple, not to make money or fame, but to bring change. Many years later, in 1925, Gandhi explained his decision to become a journalist, and this is what he wrote. I have taken up journalism not for its sake, but merely as an aid to what I have conceived to be my mission in life. My mission is to teach by example and present under severe restraint the use of the matchless weapon of satyagraha. This is why Gandhi became a journalist. He said it was all about service. And he said so himself. The sole aim of journalism, he said, should be service. He never published advertisements, by the way. He never sensationalized news. Gandhi's brand of journalism was honest and sober. Let me quote from him again, and this is what he wrote in Young India. To be true to my faith, I may not write in anger or malice. I may not write idly. I may not write merely to excite passion. The reader can have no idea of the restraint I have to exercise from week to week in the choice of topics and my vocabulary. It is training for me. No sensationalism. I'll give you an example of that restraint. A story from September 1947. Mahatma Gandhi was visiting Jamia Millia. While getting out of the car, his hand got jammed in the door. It started bleeding. Gandhi asked for some bandage and a glass of water. He dipped his bleeding hands in the water. He bandaged his wounded fingers, and then he carried on. There was a journalist with him at that time, Selaine Chatterjee. He was with Mahatma Gandhi the whole time. He wanted to publish a story on this incident. But Gandhi did not agree. He said this story would create unnecessary expenses. People would write to him, they would visit him. Mahatma Gandhi wanted to avoid all of that fuss. He believed in measured reporting, which is why he despised advertisements too. He never saw newspapers as a source of income. He saw them as a means to educate people. And this is another interesting quote. Listen to this carefully. It is now an established practice with newspapers to depend on revenues, mainly on advertisements, rather than on subscriptions. The result has been deplorable. The very newspaper which writes against the evil of drink publishes advertisements in praise of drinks. In the same issue, we read the harmful effects of tobacco as also from where to buy it. It's hard to argue with that. And the media today is still facing the same problem, ad revenue versus subscription. Mahatma Gandhi represented a rare kind of resolve. His opinions and beliefs were ironclad. But he was never dismissive. He always gave diplomacy and talks a fair chance. It did not matter who he was dealing with. The imperial racist Winston Churchill or the Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler. In fact, you would know about this. Gandhi wrote an open letter to Hitler. It was not published at the time, but it makes for great reading now. Mahatma Gandhi criticized Hitler's policies. He rejected Nazi thought, and yet he kept the door open for reform. I'll read the best excerpts. You can look up the letter online. This is what Gandhi says to Hitler: "Your writings and pronouncements leave no room for doubt that many of your acts are monstrous and unbecoming of human dignity." These are Mahatma Gandhi's words, such as your humiliation of Czechoslovakia, the rape of Poland, and the swallowing of Denmark. His advice to Hitler was quite clear, and this is what he says: "It is a marvel to me that you do not see that war is nobody's monopoly. If not the British, some other power will certainly improve your method and greet you with your own weapon. I therefore appeal to you in the name of humanity to stop the war." Well, Gandhi was right. Hitler lost the war and his life. World leaders today would do well to remember Mahatma Gandhi's words. Expansionism is on the march again. There is talk of arms race and cold wars. Diplomacy is becoming the tool of last resort. This is a highway to mutual destruction. On October the 2nd, we usually remember Gandhi, the freedom fighter, and Gandhi, the social reformer. This time, let's celebrate Gandhi, the journalist and the statesman. His principles, his restraint, and his patience would hold the key to our geopolitical troubles of today. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.